Good morning, afternoon, and evening to all those attending. Welcome to today's Supercharge Webinar. It's how AI is transforming digital patient journeys. Thanks for joining us. My name is Matt. I lead innovation projects here at our London office, and it's a sunny London day for a little bit of inspiration. I'm going to be your host for today. If you've been to one of our webinars before, you'll know a little bit of the format. So welcome back. It's good to see you here. If you haven't been here and it's your first time, welcome. If you haven't heard of Supercharge, we're an agency, a digital product development agency. We're based primarily in Europe and North America, and we build highly technical platforms, apps, and complex industries like what we'll be talking about today in healthcare. We use a mix of behavioral science, data, and our competence in AI. And we always have a really strong focus on creating products with real lasting impact. So that's always our end goal with any project we do. So today we're going to be talking along those lines of focusing on digital patient journeys and the role AI is already playing. So not really an over-idealized future, but how do we apply AI in practical and feasible ways? So there's obviously lots of questions around AI and what is to come. Today we're going to focus on what's possible now. And we're lucky to have a fantastic lineup of guests from various industries within the healthcare innovation space. So we've got an interview with Konrad Dobschwitz, a short overview of the practical use cases for AI by Benza Lukacs. And then we'll go to our panel to deep dive into how Gen AI solutions are creating more effective journeys in healthcare. And just like last time, we love to get interactive. So we've got a poll. This is so we can learn a little bit about our collective experiences with AI in healthcare and figure out what our outlook on it is collectively. So the poll should be opening anytime now. And the question is, the exam question is, in which of these areas do you think we will see AI-driven solutions making a serious impact in the next 5 years? And there's a couple options to choose from. They are healthcare operations, medical imaging, screening and prevention, diagnosis, practitioner support, drug discovery and development, personalized medicine, and choice patient and monitoring care. So have a think about what your most optimistic outlook is with all of those options. And while you think about your answers, let me introduce you to what's up next. First up, we've got an interview with Konrad Dobschwitz. He's going to be interviewed by Supercharge's chief strategist, Balázs Fonag. Balázs has been building digital products for over a decade now and is particularly interested in scaling personalized healthcare through digitization. And he's going to walk you through the results of our poll. So take it away, Balázs.
Hey everyone. Yes, and I have the results here. So, well, it's a pretty mixed bag, honestly. It's hard to just look at it and say that everyone thinks it's yeah, I think that shows that no one has like a crystal ball at home. The guesses are a bit all over the place. I see that medical imaging seems to be the leading one. Yeah, there are already many solutions there today used in actual hospitals, so that's not very surprising. But I see that screening, prevention, and diagnosis are also in the lead, and seems like patient monitoring and care, personalized medicine, drug discovery, practitioner support, and healthcare operations, those were the less popular choices. So yeah, I think what this shows us is that no one really knows what the future holds, and the guests are all over the place. So I'm very excited to hear the upcoming interview and the panel. Maybe we will have a bit more clarity after those. Okay. Then we are jumping right into the next interview. Please welcome Konrad. Thank you for joining us today. So just to provide a little introduction for Conrad, because some of you might not know him, although he is quite well known in the health innovation circles. His career spans over 20 years, and it has been always centered around digitalization and digital innovation. For more than a decade now, his focus was on digitalization of pharma companies. He was leading various departments at industry giants such as Pfizer or Novartis, which all of us know. And many from the audience actually might know him as the former national director of the NHS Innovation Accelerator that he led until very recently. Conrad is a strong voice on the application of AI in health, and with his background and with his experience, he has a great ability to separate all this AI hype that's happening right now from the real opportunities and the really feasible innovations. As you will see, Conrad has a quite strong opinion on the possibilities and also on the dead ends of AI innovation. And based on my experience in our previous chat, he is not afraid to share those. So big welcome to Conrad, and let's jump right into the first question. So there might be some AI experts in the audience, and I hope that they will also get out something of this session, but I think it's safe to assume that most of us are a bit lost and could use a little primer on how to think about healthcare and AI and the confluence of the two. For me, it always feels useful if I start with a little categorization, try to put things in my head on various shelves, to wrap my head around a complex domain like this. So Conrad, could we start with a bit of an overview? When we talk about AI in healthcare, how can we segment the market according to application areas or maybe use cases, whatever categorization you find useful?
Sure. Thanks so much, Balázs, and thank you for having me to the Supercharge team. I'm really delighted to be here today, and I've got timings given to be able to answer those questions by my dear Balázs, so it's going to be difficult to give you a complete overview. But essentially, in my time and working in the Pfizer, Novartis, and in the NHS, you come around three buckets. You come around the patient-facing applications. You have operational applications of AI, and then you have everything I would throw into the bucket of R&D. So those are the broadly three buckets of categorization, and within that is a massive amount, of course. And we saw the survey before around, for example, medical imaging. The medical imaging piece is definitely an operational, transformational application of AI in the healthcare setting, right? So because it sort of enhances the way we're understanding lung cancer is better, tumor detection for breast cancer. There's a huge trial in the UK around breast cancer and AI imaging now. So that makes a huge difference. And Balázs, you just jump in when I'm out of time, So in the patient-facing, it's more around, there is an example, Skin Vision, no commercial involvement. They can detect as a patient-facing application, and their algorithms live in the cloud, so it's not edge AI, doesn't live on the device, but they can detect early onset of skin cancer, for example. That is a fairly straightforward example, and it's a combination of patient-facing, but also operationally trying to speed up diagnosis. So early diagnosis is an absolute key piece in AI, and I'm sure we're sort of exploring that a bit more as we go along. You're on mute, Balázs. I wanted to say that, and now I have.
Thank you so much. So which of these application areas do you find the most promising when it comes to AI, and which do you think are absolutely blocked right now? So which area you think is not really feasible, but people are still trying to do something there?
So when it comes to the diagnosis space and also risk stratification space, we're seeing extreme uptake. And I'm not just talking about the UK here. So I'm based in the UK for the last 16 years, moved over from Germany. But with an European global view, it is risk stratification and early diagnosis. And you could put in the same bucket of risk stratification, you could put in outcome prediction as well. So if you certain biomarkers from biopsies, you could then start to, and you can do that already, outcome disease prediction, that can already be done. And I think that's the key element of where sort of artificial intelligence, and I don't want to keep saying AI, because ultimately we all know what we're talking about here. Where there are limitations, and a lot of people think, hey, this is the new field, and sure, that's going to be amazing, is the last bit I mentioned is in product development. So we all know alpha and beta fold from Google. Probably not everybody knows that, but it's around protein folding and sort of going through all the possible permutations. But if you think about it, that's actually nothing to do with AI. That is just an increase in computing power and being able to do the exercise. So there's no predictive element as such in that, playing through all the possible protein folding permutations. Where there is a blockage at the moment when it comes to R&D is actually the IP. So quickly, if you are a large pharma company and you want to work and you get approached by a startup, and I worked with close to 200 startups in my life, you get approached by them, and hey, we've got this proprietary algorithm that can help you detect new disease areas or new treatments rather, by exploring new docking mechanisms. You're not going to work with that company. Why? Because it's not your algorithm. It doesn't belong to you. So you either have an exit, you buy the thing ultimately, or you're just not going to engage. And the third alternative, and that a lot of companies do now, pharmacos, they put their R&D AI departments in-house.
That makes sense from their perspective. Let's shift gears a bit and let's talk a bit about generative AI. Whoever follows you in social media will find that you have a strong opinion on this, and you are worried about hallucinations. How do you see this technology? Maybe let's just concentrate a bit on the upside. Do you see any application areas for generative AI where it's feasible that we will see products launched and actively used and adopted in the healthcare space, let's say in the next 3 years?
No. So the reason why I'm talking, so in other spaces, yes. Like when we, for example, are talking about helping to create patient education material or clinician education material, absolutely, hands down, content creation, why not, right? A lot of people use stuff already, famously OpenAI's tools, and you know, for sort of a 90% accuracy piece, 80% accuracy piece, that's actually not that bad. It works quite well. The point with that is you will always, and this is my pharma company brain now, hat on here, you will always have the, rightfully so, somebody having to approve that content, which is a medical signature, final signatory, medical signatory. And these people want to make sure that it's accurate, right? So that will always be the case. So it's a form of augmentation. But I want to, the people that are listening, just ask yourself the question, when you operated on ChatGPT and other tools are available, by the way, has it ever come back with, I don't know? And it probably hasn't, because large language models always try to create something. And that's the real problem when you translate it into the safety space of a clinical environment. And that is the issue, right? So I'm not even exploring generative AI in new proteins and new targeting mechanisms for drugs. I spoke about the proprietary problems there that may have some legs. But if you're in a clinical environment, generative AI has too many risks and safety issues at the moment, because you have to look at it as a software, as a medical device, and as a medicine. And if you start doing that, you then get the implications if stuff goes wrong.
Thank you, Conrad. Probably there is a reason that you will see that all the guests who we invited into the panel, none of them is trying to use generative AI to something that can actually cost human lives. So you will see that there are ways to kind of skirt that, and yeah, this kind of content generation ideas, and we will go deeper into that. Just to round up this interview, do you have any like parting wisdom, insight for the participants? If anyone is working on an AI-driven product or just wants to add any AI-based feature to their products, is there any framework, any thought exercise that you think is really useful to go through to make sure they are not trying to build something that won't be feasible or viable?
So, and then thank you for giving me the marker of wisdom, which I hope in my mid-40s I still don't have completely acquired. But ultimately, as with anything that people develop, you need to ask yourself the question, what's the problem I'm trying to fix? So I always say, no problem, no startup. It's very simple. And there's then product market fit and all that stuff. So that's one side. But exploring the problem you're trying to fix to absolute detail would actually enable you to justify the usage of AI, i.e., developing an algorithm that might be able to fix the problem. So if you think about, let me give an example, okay? So risk stratification is a key example where machine learning is absolutely helpful to identify patients faster and more accurate that are potentially at risk of, say, heart failure, right? And that's already been done. And that has actually led to more patients being identified. And then, and this is the crucial point I'm trying to make now as a parting gift, is not just a problem, but who are you fixing the problem for? Are you fixing the problem for a pharma company that wants to find and ID new patients, i.e. in the diagnosis space? Or are you fixing a problem for the health system, i.e. in the UK, for the NHS, and other countries, others are available, where they are trying to expedite operational processes in a hospital, right? So these questions, who are you fixing it for, is essentially opening the market for you and answers that key piece, why are you building this?
Thank you so much, Conrad. That was our last question, and I couldn't agree more with what you just said. I've talked to many entrepreneurs in the health tech sector, and I've heard some very bitter opinions after someone has invented something that's actually overall very beneficial, but because of the moving parts of the healthcare system, no one really wants to pay for it. So that's something you have to really think about in advance. Thank you, Conrad. And with that, we are moving to Bence's presentation about very practical ideas how to leverage AI in patient-facing solutions.
That's great. Thanks, Spencer, and thanks, Conrad, as well. It's always good to, pound your chest to the beat of no problem, no startup. So now, as Balázs mentioned, we're going to go to Bence Lukac's talk. Bence is both a cognitive psychologist and the product strategy team lead here at Supercharge. If you've been to one of our webinars before, you know he's a talented guy, and we're always eager to hear from him. He's got a good deal of knowledge about specifically AI, and he's definitely the right man for the talk he's about to give. So, Bence, the stage is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Matt, for the kind introduction. Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to talk about how AI is transforming digital patient journeys. And I want to structure that space a little bit and show you some key opportunity areas and use case examples of how AI can support patients. And I want to be realistic and in line with the theme of this webinar. I will focus on what's possible today. So AI solutions that are either already being used or either being developed. And I also want to highlight that I will focus on those patient-facing applications only. So we have seen in the poll that there are many other exciting areas of AI in healthcare, like drug discovery and medical research and so on. But now I will focus on the patient-facing solutions. So let's see how AI can help patients. And when we think about AI in healthcare, I think at many parts of the world that might sound like a futuristic idea. But in fact, we can see a lot of examples of AI solutions at basically every part of the patient journey. And I think like one key thing that AI does to patients is that it empowers them to take better control of their health. And instead of being like a passive subject of the healthcare system, it empowers them to own their health and to be more aware of their health, to have more knowledge about their health and symptoms, and ultimately to make better decisions on their health. And, for example, to know when to actually seek medical attention and how to live, how to eat, and how to stay healthy. So how I plan this, that first I will give you the main areas that I would like to talk about. And I've broken down the patient journey into 4 distinct steps. And I want to show you AI opportunities and some specific examples along these steps. So the first one would be awareness and early detection. So how AI can help patients to have better knowledge of their health, understand their symptoms, and that early detection and prevention aspect. The second one is the pre-visit phase. So how AI can help patients find the right provider and schedule an appointment quickly. And then there's the consultation phase. So how AI can help during the consultation and make it more effective. And the last one is this monitoring, adherence, and educational aspect. So how AI can help after consultations, monitor patients' health metrics and increase their adherence and educate them. So I want to go through these steps one by one in more depth. So the first one is awareness, prevention, and early detection. And I think that the healthcare community has this kind of mixed feeling about patients trying to check their symptoms on the internet. And I think there's like worries about people trying to diagnose themselves on their own. But the reality is that many people spend today like hours on Googling their symptoms on the internet and trying to make sense of all the often unreliable information that they can find there. And there's this huge uncertainty in patients on when they actually need to seek medical help. Like, are their symptoms serious enough to turn to a physician? So I think there's this huge need from patient side to have reliable solutions, reliable symptom checking solutions. And one such example is Ada, which is an AI-based symptom checker. And they are using like more traditional machine learning algorithms to help evaluate symptoms of patients and provide some initial diagnostic recommendations. And so they're using these more traditional machine learning models, but I've heard recently that they are also experimenting with large language models. And here comes what Konrad was talking about, that these large language models are not that reliable yet to actually switch to these solutions at the moment. But I heard that they are running some experiments and working on those to make them more accurate and reliable. And there's the other direction that Konrad also mentioned, the skin vision example. So we can use specialized AI tools for self-examination at home. And the Skin Vision app is using these image recognition models to detect the skin cancer and melanoma. And I think it was also in the poll that these image recognition models, people put more confidence in it because they are already more advanced and reliable and therefore more widespread. And I think that AI has absolutely a big role in this early detection of diseases and health conditions. And I think there's a lot of benefit of putting that in the patient's hands. So let's move on to the next stage of the journey, which is the pre-visit phase. And let's imagine that a patient already knows that he needs some medical help. Maybe the patient already used one of those AI-based symptom checker tools and wants to organize an appointment with the clinician. And I think this is one example where these LLM-based AI assistants have actually a place. And one example is the Notable solution, where they use this LLM-based assistant to help find matching healthcare providers for your problems. And it can also help schedule appointments and send you reminders and do a lot of these administrative tasks associated with appointments. So I think that it can also help with preparing for the consultation as well. Like it can help like filling out a pre-visit intake with the patient, so that by the time the patient goes to the consultation, the physician is already having more information to work with. And speaking of consultation, I think this is another area where LLMs and LLM-based solutions can have a huge effect. So on average, like physicians spend about 1/3 or even more of their time on administrative tasks and just documenting various patient data. And I think LLMs have absolutely good potential in automating that clinical note-taking and administration process. And we can already see really exciting solutions, such as this Nabla Copilot that is having, I think, a lot of attention in the medical community. And it can use it can create voice transcripts of the consultation between the physician and the patient. And it can create these structured summaries. And it's, of course, the physician can review that and can finalize that, but it helps a lot with the actual administration. And it can also help with surfacing relevant insights from the unstructured medical records of the patient, such as like allergies or past medical history that is relevant for the consultation. And therefore, it can help physicians make like more holistic, more informed decisions as well. And the last step I want to talk about is this monitoring, adherence, and education aspect. So in between consultations or maybe after a consultation. And there's a lot of what's happening in this hospital at home approach. And I think that two developments are particularly fueling this. And one is that there are better hardware solutions that are all more precise remote monitoring solutions. And also, I think better AI algorithms are contributing to this. And one such example is Alive Core's Cardia Mobile card, which is like a credit card sized device that helps patients perform basically medical grade EKG measurements and detect the most common arrhythmias. And it can also alert the physician if there's some serious problems, and it can help prevent heart attacks. And it's not just really cardiac care, but there are other many exciting solutions like continuous glucose monitoring and COPD checks and many more. And another exciting area of AI in this domain is is increasing medical adherence. And there is the MediSafe app as an example that uses some machine learning models to deliver these personalized triggers and messages for users to remind them to take their meds. And they analyze like individual behavior patterns of users, and then they choose the timing of the messages and the right intervention technique to have the biggest effect. And the third solution that was already also mentioned by Konrad is personalized health education. And again, I think I agree that this is one direction that LLMs can also be used. And at Supercharge, we already created like one solution for a client where in a menopause-related platform, we employed a sort of menopause AI coach run by an LLM that could answer people's questions related to menopause, and really using trusted, reliable information sources that we defined. So it could answer symptom-related questions, and it could also recommend relevant educational content for the users. And I want to like finish this short talk with a future outlook, because I'm particularly excited about this AI-based health coaching concept. And I really think that in the next few years, we are going to see more and more of these solutions. And I think there are ultimately three bigger pillars of this concept. And the first pillar is data. And there are more and more of these passive continuous health monitoring solutions, wearables, biosensors, and other devices like we have seen that collects data on the health status of the patient. And when we feed that data into an integrated AI system that can also access other data sources like medical records and medical history of the patient, I think that can really be an invaluable data source. And I really imagine the AI working together with the clinician on actually the right intervention techniques and recommendations. And I think that the third leg of this concept could be behavioral coaching that possibly an LLM could be used for. I mean that the AI could actually help the patient implement those behavioral interventions needed. Maybe it can help adhere to the therapy, and it can deliver the motivational messaging, the behavioral nudges, and all of the educational content. And I think that the seeds for such solutions are already here or there. And I think that it's going to be exciting times for us to actually build those solutions in a reliable and accurate and safe way. So thank you for your attention. And I hope that this showed some exciting opportunities with AI. And I think I hand it back to Matt.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Benza. Always interesting. So we started with Konrad and that problem first approach, and his views on generative AI in particular. Then we saw some of the opportunities and how solutions are meeting that with Benza. I think it's probably important to recognize, that these are all levers you can pull. As Konrad said, it doesn't necessarily need to be generative AI if compute power will get you there, or if it's some other type of machine learning. So before we move on, we have a little bit of a special announcement, something we've never done before. So I'm pretty excited about. We have the opportunity to win a free expert deep dive session with one of our top AI consultants, potentially even the man we've just heard from. You can use it to explore and discuss potential AI use cases specific to your organization and gain some valuable insights tailored to your needs. So to qualify for this consultation, please complete the following short survey. I think the link is going into the chat, but you can also scan the QR code on your screen now. And your responses from that will help us pair you with the right relevant expert from our side. So selected participants will be contacted by our team to arrange their free of charge 90-minute consultation session. And the deadline for entries for this is Monday by the end of the day. So make sure you save the link and get applying. So quite an exciting offering there. So Next up, we've got our panel discussion. So we're going to discuss the details of the AI features we've heard about, the nuances involved in implementation, and more of the landscape. So Balázs, over to you.
And I'm back again. Hope the audience didn't have enough of me yet. This will be our panel discussion. I think it's Joe, Olga, Jonas. I think it's time for you to start your cameras. Very quickly about the panel. So basically, we invited 3 experts from very different walks of life. We want working on very different projects, but all of these projects are somehow connected to AI. We wanted to show that no matter what is the focus of an application within the health, and you will even see in the fitness space, AI finds a way. Everyone thinks about it, everyone tinkers with it, everyone tries to figure out how it can lead to impactful results. So first of all, we have with us Joe Thompson, who is the Chief Technology and Product Officer of Deep Medical. He's with us from London. Joe has a very solid career in the technology industry, so he's kind of a tech guy, leading large-scale product and technology teams, and now obviously trying to figure out an exciting problem at Deep Medical. So since 2022, his company Deep Medical has been pursuing a simple, but I think very powerful mission, leveraging data science and machine learning to help the UK healthcare system fight appointment non-attendance. As I learned from Joe, I had no idea about that, but now I know that 20% of outpatient appointments are not attended today. And this is a quite serious operational problem. It creates inefficiencies in the healthcare system. It costs taxpayers money. It leads to worse patient experiences because the only way to handle it is through double booking, and the result is longer waiting times. So it's good for no one. But besides this being an expensive systematic problem, it is also a very human problem. It is often the most vulnerable patients who end up missing their appointments. And Joe's team did some exciting research around this, and they figured that the reason is usually really not that these people simply can't bother showing up. Usually there are other underlying issues. So their solution, which is has machine learning at its core, helps hospital booking teams to create better forecasts, identify patients who are at risk of not attending, and they even offer various reminder services to help these people increase their chances of actually making it to their appointment. Our next panelist is Olga Kolesnikova from the Netherlands. She is the app growth manager at BasicFit. BasicFit is Europe's largest gym chain. It's actually enormous, with 1,400 gyms, more than 4 million members in 6 European countries. So there are smaller countries than that in Europe. 4 million members, that's a lot. So everything they do has very large scale effects. Olga spent her entire career in the fitness industry, but she also holds 2 master's degrees, one in psychology and one in business administration. Right now, she leverages all this knowledge and all her experience while she looks after the success of BasicFit's already quite strong digital presence. The gym chain's applications help members to make the most of their fitness journey. They help with training plans, they help with nutrition, and recently even with virtual coaching. One of the biggest challenges that Olga works on is helping beginners who constitute 45% of the members. BasicFit tries to make fitness very accessible, so many people start their fitness journey with them. So many of their members are just starting out, and they are quite anxious about figuring out how to start this journey. As part of the solution to this, their product started to leverage generative AI. We will soon hear about how. And at last but not least, we have with us Jonas Kari from Berlin. Jonas works for a very exciting company called Rox Health. Rox Health is a fully owned subsidiary of Roche that you probably have heard about already. And basically their mission is to identify and kind of help and guide promising health startups, and they also eventually invest into these startups. Jonas is our probably most technical participant in the panel. His background is being a solution or software architect, and his job currently is to kind of bring some hard technical knowledge and hard technical expertise to the often hype-driven health tech space, especially that they are working with startups, which are like the hotbeds of hype machines often. Besides that, Rox also has its own projects and builds interesting proof of concepts and tries to validate various healthcare business cases to move the space forward. Just to round it up, Jonas reviews dozens of startups yearly to figure out if their technology has solid foundations, if there is anything actually new and proprietary, or is it really just a ChatGPT integration at the end of the day. With that being said, let's jump right into the questions. And let's begin with Joe. Could you tell us a bit about Deep Medical's solution? I guess most of us don't know too much about appointment non-adherence, what drives that, and how does your solution utilize machine learning to try to improve the outcomes?
Sure. Hi there, and thanks, Balash. And hi, everybody. So, Balash, as you said in your intro, we use AI to predict patient non-attendance at hospital appointments so that everybody can get the care that they need. We train our models on historical data. Usually we look at about 10 years historical for each setting we work in. And then we incorporate things like weather and travel forecast. Here in the UK, we use a thing called IMD, which is the Index of Multiple Deprivation. It's a geographic score around the likelihood of economic disadvantage. To kind of build this data set and make our predictions as accurate as we can. If we think a patient will not attend an appointment, we can then recommend a human intervention, like maybe a telephone call. We can also trigger automatic engagements like an SMS message or a robocall. And if the patient can't be reached, we can then also recommend making a backup booking into that slot so that there's another patient ready and making sure the doctor's time isn't wasted. Yeah, as you said, I mean, up to 20% of outpatient appointments in some clinics have non-attendance. I think nationally, the average is something like 7% here in the UK. It's about 7 million missed appointments every year with an average cost of like £160. So that's well over £1 billion of capacity that is just being wasted at the moment in a very stretched health service just in the UK. So I guess kind of, what we do is partly about increasing the efficiency of a health system. But as you touched on in your intro, it's actually mostly about ensuring that patients receive really good care. And conventional wisdom will tell us that in countries with state healthcare, that there shouldn't be much difference in health outcomes between rich people and poor people. And like the spoiler alert, I guess, is you already know that's really not the case. And there are huge differences in health outcomes from economic circumstances. So we've analyzed thousands of these patient interactions, and we learned that non-attendance is actually very little about people that can't be bothered or they forgot. And, it's really about elderly people with bad mobility that struggle to use public transport early in the morning when there's snow on the ground or if there's a storm. We've heard about families where the cost of train tickets to hospital is more money than they have in their bank account at the end of the month. So there's all these situations you need to understand to really build a picture of non-attendance. And of course, if you're not seeing your doctor, very often you're not getting better. And so we see that the health outcomes are driven from this. So non-attendance is really tightly bound to health inequality and to other inequalities. And what we find is that ML is really well suited to understanding and responding to some of these really complex correlations and situations that patients have.
Well, yeah, that's indeed something that data science comes quite handy, and machine learning can really show its muscles. Now we talked about getting people to the doctor on time. Now let's talk a bit about avoiding going to the doctor altogether. Olga and basically it's a bit of an outlier as it's not a healthcare company, but we thought it would be exciting to talk to her because prevention is still very much part of staying healthy, and that's where health really starts. Olga, could you tell us a bit about what the digital solutions of Basic Fit do? Because I guess we can all imagine what your gym does, but how the digital solutions help with that, and how did you start leveraging AI to make that even more impactful?
Thanks, Balázs. Hi, everyone. Maybe I should start with a very brief overview of Basic Fit and then talk about how we are implementing AI. As you already mentioned, that prevention is better than cure. And at Basic Fit, we don't just follow trends, we set them. At Basic Fit, we leverage an omni-channel business model, so our members have opportunity to train anytime, anywhere. So we have physical channels, it's our gyms, and digital channels, it's our 3 mobile applications. We help beginners to develop and maintain fitness habits and to be more active. We support our members in their fitness journey and help overcome gym intimidation. We have 3 apps. The primary app is the Basic Fit app. Around 2.8 million members use it. We have a home app for training at home. And we have a coach app that helps our coaches to manage online fitness program. In the app, we have more than 600 workouts and more than 60 fitness programs. So, onto the AI. AI can help to make fitness journey more personalized because we focus on personalization. So our members can easily find content, programs, tutorials, meditations, advice regarding fitness. Based on onboarding questions, it means based on fitness experience, goals, and fitness preferences, but also current habits. We aim to use AI to increase engagement of our members, and this leads to retention and longer length of stay of our members, which is good, of course, for fitness habits, but also good for the business. We have already implemented AI in several areas. So the property department uses AI for designing our clubs. It's based on machine learning. The content department uses AI for creating workouts and voiceover. We recently implemented AI for our chat, Ruby, that supports administrative services. So Ruby, our chatbot, focuses on personalized conversation. And the chatbot now receives information about user during chats, about payments, membership status, club services, and can proactively interact with our members. AI can also help our human coaches in the program to reply to questions 24/7.
Okay, it sounds like you are using AI all across the board. So I'm not that surprised by that. I especially private companies, I think now try to make sure they get ahead of the competition by trying and testing where AI could give them a leg up. With that, let's shift our focus to Jonas. Please come alive. Jonas, you are working with multiple companies through ROCs. You see lots of interesting projects, and I'm interested what were the most exciting, most promising AI solutions that you encountered in the health space in the last year? And by promising, I really mean the ones which could actually yield results in the next couple of years.
Cool. Thanks, Balázs. It's a very good question. For me, what I find the most interesting case I come over this year is a company called Helga Hilft and Helga Helps. It's an Austrian company or a startup which provided a platform in the past which gave families and patients who are suffering or dealing with cancer the opportunity to make appointments with psycho-oncologists very fast. And this was just a platform, and now they are moving not away from the platform, but into the direction to giving people support with an AI video avatar. And this is something I saw and we've had it zone before and always had the feeling, oh yeah, who wants to use this? I don't want to talk to a video avatar. How can this be a benefit for someone who suffers from cancer or family members who have a patient at home? But after using a demo of it, I saw the potential because they are able to get it really not human-like. You see, it's an avatar, but they are hard on the content of a psycho-oncologist. So they annotated a lot of talks between patients and psycho-oncologists, and now they are able to support patients with their journey. And for me, this was a little eye-opener. I always had the feeling that, oh yeah, it always has to be in the background and the patient don't want to see the AI. But for me, this after feeling it, it's for me the promising solution of the year, and I'm sure they will provide a very good product in the next one or 2 years. So regarding your questions, in the next few years, I think in the next 2 years or even earlier, they will provide a very good AI video avatar, which will be a benefit for patients suffering from cancer.
That's a very exciting one, and I think it's touching on so many question marks, like, yeah, humans interacting with robots, knowing it's not an actual human on the other side, and especially focusing on, let's say, the most human of any works, like providing emotional support. So it's very interesting to see something that actually seems to work. And I guess all these solutions only, like you can only start feeling if it works or not, or it won't work once you try it out and you experience it for yourself. And I guess it's interesting. Honestly, like the whole ChatGPT moment 2 years ago was that kind of moment for me. Like, oh, come on, how could a robot write great copy? And then I tried it and like, oh, it writes better copy than I do occasionally. Occasionally not, luckily. Okay, with that, let's move into our next topic. Olga, even though BasicFit is not a healthcare company, you are delivering solutions for 4 million people, which is obviously a tremendous responsibility. If anything goes wrong, it can damage the company's reputation. It can make people feel that they can't trust your services. They might not want to engage with your digital solutions in the future, or in the worst case, they could even suffer some accident as a result of a wrong advice. How did you think about this while you were developing various generative AI-based solutions? Like, what kind of safeguards did you put in place? What were your how you're thinking?
This is something that we take extremely seriously, as there is always a risk in a fitness that someone gets hurt. And as I already mentioned, that AI can help and complement real coaches. But from my point of view, it will never fully replace human coaches, because real people can provide emotional support, cheer and motivate people. Also, multiple surveys show that for people who want to achieve their fitness goals, the combination of real coach and AI is the best option. And our AI coach should provide fitness content recommendation based on basic fit content that we produce in our own studios with experts in different fitness fields and well-being. And is there any question that members ask that not related to prevention or the existing basic fit content library? For example, if a client wants to a program for a specific program to certain injury or disease, for example, an ACL knee injury, the AI should recommend them address there to a doctor, a real coach or physio or personal trainer. And this help safeguard the client from exercises that may worsen their condition.
Yeah, that sounds like a sensible approach. Make the AI operate within a little kind of walled garden of just your secure content, and then kind of know its limits, and making sure that it doesn't overstep that. Okay, let's cut back to Jonas. What do you right now see as the biggest roadblock in front of the companies that you come across that are supported by ROX, or even in your own projects? I mean, ROX is our own projects, like when they try to build something based on AI. Are these mostly technical challenges, or are we talking about regulatory roadblocks? What's your experience?
It's a very good question. I want to try to answer it from the journey a startup has behind it. So if you have a product as a startup, you developed it, you did an MVP, you got funding, you developed your product, an AI product, you got a lot of data to prove that your algorithm is working, you proved your benefit for the patient. You maybe got your CE mark, and these are all road blockers, because every part of it is hard. And in the end, you have a product with a CE mark, and then I think this is the biggest obstacle a startup has. Now you have to go to the market. So it's not a technical issue. It's not an. I think it's not depending if it's an AI product or not. In the end, you have to build something. You prove there's a benefit for patients, or a benefit to improve the healthcare system, but you have to go to the market and bring your product to the patient so that the patient can benefit from it in the end. And this is something which comes very, very at last in the process, or nearly at last in the process. And yeah, for my understanding, every obstacle behind you, it sums up. So you cannot say, okay, the CE mark was very hard. Yeah, it was hard, but the funding round was also hard. And the biggest obstacle is going to the market and bring your product to the patient, or to the hospital, or to the doctor. So this is my opinion. It's not a technical part or a regulatory part. Finding your way to help people with what you have developed.
Thank you for that, Jonas. Yes, I often find that when I talk to people, and we had various other events around AI, not in healthcare, but it felt to me that AI products are just products, and you will meet with very similar challenges. And in the healthcare sector, yeah, sometimes I hear like entrepreneurs in the health tech sector kind of waving their hand at, like, of course I build a great product, and that's where the real fun starts, or the real challenge starts, somehow getting into the market and getting someone to pay for it, especially in Europe. Okay, with that, let's cut over to Joe and let's hear a bit about Deep Medical. I found it quite remarkable during our previous conversation how strategically you selected a field where and how strategically you built up the product in a way that it helps its adaptation, even though there are lots of suspicions and worries around machine learning, products with machine learning at their core. But I think because you pick the right market or like the right application area and you built it in the right way, that I guess you will tell to us about soon. It seems like you managed to crack it. So please tell a bit about it.
Yeah, thank you. And I think I would really resonate with me what Jonas said, that building something that works but is hard to sell is not a super successful strategy for your product. And so we've tried to be quite strategic about building something that is easy for people to buy, rather than us having to overcome huge obstacles to sell it. So, for instance, the technology that runs hospitals and healthcare systems is insanely complicated, and there's legacy systems and incompatible, interfaces, and it's all hardwired into this massive landscape. And transforming technology in healthcare takes years and costs a lot of money. And we learned that the hard way. So when we designed this product, we tried to make something that the users will want to use and that doesn't demand a process change. It doesn't replace a legacy system. It just augments what's already happening in the flow, but helps people to do it better. And that's kind of been useful. In terms of the motivation, there's a real trust gap. I think anything that involves AI and tries to show that it's smart has a real credibility problem with users. So we really promote the explainability of what we do. So we'll give you a prediction, but we will also give you the reasons and some insight with that prediction. So and we found that really works for users to build their trust, and it allows them to put more reliance on the technology. Kind of what Jonas was saying as well around CE marking and regulatory hurdles. The nice thing about keeping away from the clinical space and the regulated space in healthcare, we stay very much in the operational space, and we don't touch health records, we don't touch your history or your diagnosis. We avoid regulation as a medical device because it's purely operational. So the governance and the compliance is way simpler. So I guess to summarize that, our product strategy is to be really helpful, to be really trustworthy, and really simple to implement, so that the buying managers for our customers see a quick win with a really big return on investment when they're making the business case to work with us.
Thank you, Joe. And what I really picked up on is the explainability. That's something I hear a lot about recently, like building white box solutions. Like in generally, I feel that in the healthcare sector, building something that's black box and you can't really explain why you suggest something or why the result is X, Y, Z, those things won't really fly. So probably, probably a very interesting branch of AI will grow out from this, where explainability will be a primary objective. With that, we arrive to our last question, and we are already after 4 o'clock, at least here in Hungary, but we still have 100 people with us. So let's give them one more round of exciting answers, but let's turn it into a rapid fire round. So I would like to ask everyone to share their opinion in one minute. And basically, my question is, what do you see coming in the next 2 years? What makes you excited about AI? Let's have a look first at what Jonas thinks about that.
That's a very cool question. What I think is a benefit for me, I think we will see more major startups, so mature startups. So they will be able to create their MVPs in a higher quality because of AI or Gen AI. And this allows us to see better prototypes or better developed products in an early stage. And now from a product perspective, I think what we will see a lot is improvement with AI systems for diagnosis. for documentation, and systems who support the patient at home. And as boring this sounds, I think the most interesting part or the easiest part is supporting healthcare professionals with documentation, which leads to a direct benefit for patients, because the quality of care will improve a lot. The healthcare professionals will have a lot of more time for their patients, and I think this will be a huge benefit for the health system.
Yeah, the last one is definitely exciting. I can't wait to see my doctor looking into my eye during my entire visit and not starting to type right off the gate. Okay, Olga, what do you see in the fitness industry? What excitement will AI bring in the next 1-2 years?
Oh, there are plenty of things that AI can help with, and I would like to highlight several. So as Ben already mentioned, virtual personal trainers, AI-powered apps and devices act as a virtual coaches, personal trainers that provide real-time feedback, adjustment of exercise, provide programs, and these virtual trainers can guide users through exercise, correct their form, adjust them, and keep them engaged. This approach is used by Noom app, Whoop, and Apple is working on that. The next one is the personalized workout plans. AI algorithm analyze individual data, such as fitness levels, goals, experience, and preferences, and create a program, workout plan. This ensures that each person gets a program tailored to specific needs. This approach is used by Feedbot app and Freeletics. And more complicating using AI and body scanner. The AI-based system scans body composition, balance, mobility, strengths, and cognitive abilities even. And the data is combined to create a wellness age metric. And based on wellness age metric, member receives a personalized plan. And this approach is used by Technogym and eGym. And finally, nutrition and diet planning. So AI tools can provide personalized nutrition plan, and a person should just take a photo of his her plate and will see information regarding calorie intake and macronutrients. All these innovations are designed to improve the customer experience and help customers to achieve their health and fitness goals. And at Basic Fit, we are trying to be at the forefront of developments and AI and push the field towards quickly.
Yeah. As you can see that obviously in fitness, we talked about it that there are risks, but obviously the risks are somewhat lower than in healthcare. So I think we'll see way more directly patient-facing AI solutions than in healthcare. Although maybe the emotional support avatars will hit the market in healthcare as well. We will see about that. And Joe, please close the event for us and tell a bit about what's the next for Deep Medical, and maybe in broader sense, like how do you see this like more operational side of healthcare evolving with AI supporting it now?
Thank you. I mean, I think we're going to see much smarter automation in the way patient care gets managed. So yeah, we'll see the data from smart devices being used to automatically schedule appointments for patients being monitored at home. I think some other predictive use cases, we'll see things like, predicting medical compliance with treatment regimes or exercise or physiotherapy and that kind of thing to allow physicians to really target their support on the patients that will have the most benefit from their time. I think in terms of the kind of pure operational stuff, large healthcare institutions have these incredible processes. It's like the most complex production line you can imagine. And they need to maintain this really efficient patient flow. So just like in an industrial setting, AI helps in two ways, really. reduces the human workload in places where machines can be trusted to automate things really correctly. But it will also help by predicting and preventing the situations which reduce productivity or slow things down. And so I think both of those areas are ripe for some amazing innovation. Non-clinical stuff is it's kind of lower risk and it's more regimen. I think in many cases those opportunities will deliver faster results than some of the clinical contexts that we see AI coming through in.
Thank you. That rings very true to me. It almost sounds like AI will be the lean consultant of of the healthcare system. Although I always keep hearing that the only area where you shouldn't use lean is healthcare, because it gets dangerous when you start cutting stuff. But yeah, getting more efficient without sacrificing quality, I think that's a much needed upgrade for the healthcare system, especially under the current conditions where costs are spiraling out of hand in many countries. Thank you very much. With that, I would like to ask for all of our guests for joining us today. It was a great conversation, and it was an honor for me to facilitate it.
Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks, Olga, Jonas, and Joe for your insights there. Thanks, Balázs, for moderating too. As you've said, we're over time, so I'll hurry up here. But I'd like to thank everyone for sharing their insights there. We covered a lot of breadth there, and I think it's been a relatively inspiring and optimistic session. I think that one of the key takeaways for me is seeing how everyone's still grounded in reality and not really running away with the AI hype train. So that's always optimistic. So I'd like to take the opportunity to thank our speakers and panelists once more. It takes a lot of preparation and time out of their day to do that, so I appreciate it. Remember to apply for our deep dive giveaway. I'll put the QR code on your screen now again. But the link is in the chat and we're going to send it out too. So scan the QR code, apply by Monday. It doesn't take very long, so don't hold off too long. And then finally, from everyone here at Supercharge, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you found it as inspirational as I did, and hope to see you at the next one.